Hey folks, welcome back. My name is Cyrus Davis, and today I am going to be showing you a line that you can play as Gardevoir EX to make your Snorlax matchup a lot better, win it more consistently, give yourself a much stronger chance. Now, up to this point, the game has progressed for a while. The Gardevoir player has been playing patiently. They've been using Refinement to discard all of their Pokemon that can be brought up with Flutes and Erica's Invitation. So you notice there are no more basic Pokemon in the deck, no basic Pokemon in hand. This is an important step here. Now, as a Snorlax player, they have been responding to this strategy appropriately. They have not used too many resources. They used Flute and Boss at some point to get the Munkidori active. But other than that, they played Misfortune Sisters in area when they drew them. They used the Silene. And otherwise, they have not wasted any of their resources because the Gardevoir player is not applying any pressure. So the Snorlax player does not need to apply any pressure either. But now, as a Gardevoir player, we have drawn all the pieces that we need to execute our line, which is this Turo, these Bravery Charms, the Kirlia, a way to access another Kirlia, and the Gardevoir EX. Now, you don't need to wait for all these Bravery Charms. You could be doing this one at a time with your Kirlias, but what we're going to be doing is forcing our opponent to take prize cards by knocking out our own Kirlias. So, the first step here, Turo, Munkidori goes to hand, bring up Kirlia. Now, we need to get Munkidori out of the deck. It is our last trap target. So, Kirlia, Refinement, discard Munkidori, draw 2 cards. Now the Munkidori's gone. Don't worry about that getting Erica's Invitation or accompanying Fluted. Next, let's force our opponent to take some prize cards. So, evolve to Gardevoir EX, attach our Bravery Charms to Ralts, Psychic Embrace for Psychic Energy. Onto Ralts, takes 80 damage. And now, we evolve into Kirlia, Bravery Charm deactivates because Kirlia is not a basic Pokemon, and now Kirlia gets knocked out. Snorlax player must take a prize card. Then we do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 80 damage to Ralts. Night Stretcher. Evolve to Kirlia. Knocks itself out. Snorlax player must take a prize card. Now, Dark Energy. Psychic Embrace, Psychic Embrace. And now we can go ahead and use Miracle Force. So this is relevant for many reasons that we have waited to this point. Our opponent has had to take prize cards. So now our Onos will put our opponent down to 4 instead of 6. We have waited until we've discarded all of our basic Pokemon. So now the Snorlax player does not have any targets for accompanying Flute or Erica's Invitation left in our deck. Lastly, they cannot play Counter Catcher. They have used the boss early to get Munkidori active, and they cannot use Counter Catcher because they are still ahead on prize cards 4 to 5. So the Snorlax player moves up a Snorlax. Now, as the Snorlax player, you're definitely in trouble here. The Gardevoir player still has the Fluttermane as a way to go ahead and attack something like a Mimikyu. And the Spiritomb can't be trapped because that is Fade Out. The Fluttermane can't be trapped either because Midnight Fluttering shuts off block as long as it's active. And realistically, in this position, it's very tough for Snorlax to win. Now, let's say that things that went a bit better for Snorlax in the early game, right? As the Gardevoir player, we had a pretty good setup here. We didn't have... we only had the one trap target in play as Munkidori. Our bench was just Spiritomb, Fluttermane, and 3 Ralts. So, let's say that the Fluttermane and Spiritomb aren't here. Not only did we find the Munkidori early game, but we were also able to get Drifloon and Screamtail into play as the Snorlax player. So now there was no room for the Spiritomb and the Flutter, and there are now 2 new trap targets for the Snorlax player. Maybe the Gardevoir player didn't even play Spiritomb, but we still managed to get into this position as Gardevoir by self-KOing some of our Kirlias. Now, what can we do as Snorlax at this point? Well, of course, we can just go ahead and waste that accompanying Flute. But we don't have any way to Gust, right? We can't use Counter Catcher. We don't have a boss's orders in hand. Let's say even if we had a boss, we go ahead and boss up one of these attackers, Drifloon, and we want to ideally keep this Drifloon here and then just keep Gust again next turn after our opponent sets it up. They just need to put 3 more energy onto it, and then they can attack with it. So we want to be able to go ahead and knock out, bring something else up, ideally the Screamtail, after the Drifloon takes a knockout. But now, as the Gardevoir player, we draw. We can put our 3 energy onto Drifloon. Take 60 damage. And then we go ahead and Iono. And the Snorlax player only gets 4 cards. So now they only have 4 cards to try to find their boss's orders. They still can't use Counter Catcher because we're going to go ahead and take a knockout on the Snorlax, and we're built 4-4. So it won't be until the Gardevoir player goes down to 3 prize cards that the Snorlax player will even be able to use Counter Catcher here, which means there's multiple turns where it is so much harder for the Snorlax player to gust. And, you know, even if we establish a decent hand here, we have the Pokegear, but we don't have any boss left in deck, so we're just going to do this. We find, you know, Zero Sick or Penny here. I guess we'll just take the Penny. We can use the Artisan, but that's not going to do us much good here either. We can Night Stretcher, get our Snorlax back. Hero's Cape this so the Drifloon doesn't quite knock it out. But here, we just, as the Gardevoir player, we just draw, and we just go ahead and hit again because we didn't get gusted. Snorlax player, we draw, we can Penny, but you can see how the Gardevoir player is going to be able to keep applying pressure, even if the Snorlax player had the Rotom on bench here with a Bravery Charm so that it could not be knocked out with a boss. They can draw 3 here, and then the Gardevoir player can just go ahead and Iono again. Iono the opponent back down to 4. These Ionos to 4 are going to be so much stronger than an Iono to 6. The difference between 4 and 6 is huge in Pokemon. Every card drawn could be that boss's orders. Could be the Pal Pad to get the boss's orders back. So this strategy from Gardevoir is always going to be, you know, the most effective way to try to win the matchup. Force your opponent to take a couple of prize cards, make it harder for them to gust, make them weaker into Iono, and take the time to discard all of your extra Pokemon before you start attacking. I hope this video helps you win more games against Snorlax with Gardevoir at the same time as a Snorlax player. I hope it doesn't if you play against me. This line obviously is not foolproof. You will not always beat Snorlax's Gardevoir with this line. As Snorlax, if I have more often than not beaten players trying to do this. Still, I still think the matchup is favorable for Snorlax, barring you know, double Turo, Pal Pad, Spiritomb, all in the same list. Some combination of that. But it still is, even if it isn't going to always win you the game, this is going to give you the best chance of winning as Gardevoir. If you enjoyed this and want to check out any of my other content, you can find my socials, my Metafy page, and all of my other content through the link tree below. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.